I haven't seen that video of Ted Cruz on his way to Cancun since those days when he got caught doing that. I have to ask you, what did you feel? What was your feeling when you saw that video of Ted Cruz literally fleeing to a vacation in Cancun while his constituents and people in his neighborhood were suffering?
Well, thank you, Lawrence. First off, certainly I think we were all disgusted in Texas. No one expected Ted Cruz to get up on an electricity pole and fix things, right? But we certainly expected to be like all of us and hunker down and try to help your neighbor. When a nursing home called me in my office and they said we were out of water, we found a Walmart that was still open. We took a pallet of water so that these seniors would have water, drinking water for the next several days. Everybody in Texas tried to help one another, except for Ted Cruz, who took off and abandoned us all.
You, in your announcement video there, you mentioned bribery and corruption in the Republican governing of Texas. Tell our viewers what you're referring to there that the Texas voters should also know about.
Well, we've certainly been dealing with all of this tragic situation with Ken Paxton, our Attorney General, and the allegations of securities exchange fraud. He's still under a federal indictment, by the way, on that state indictment. We have seen he's under an impeachment right now for many violations, including bribery, accusations of payoffs. We're in this space right now, Lawrence, where Texans are hurting. And Republicans in Texas seem to continue to perpetuate this big lie that somehow we're living in a Texas miracle. There's nothing miraculous when 800 people die in a winter storm. There's nothing miraculous when 19 children and 2 teachers die while 77 minutes later, cops finally decide to go in. We're broken in Texas. We're broken in every issue that you could imagine. We have teachers that are the lowest paid in the country. We have women that really don't know what to do if they have to make reproductive decisions. We have people on the margins that are constantly being attacked and scapegoated by Republicans like Ted Cruz. We're in deep trouble, but we have to have a real discussion about the issues that truly matter to us. That's what I aim to do in this next election.
Viewers of this program met you in our coverage in the immediate aftermath of the mass murder of those students at Uvalde and teachers. At that time, there were no Republican officials in Texas who would come on this program to discuss any of what happened in Uvalde, and that is still true. What is the lesson that Texans should take from that in terms of governance? And I know there's a tremendous amount to say about the grief and the pain and the recovery that's necessary that you've participated in. But there's also something to say about governance in the way both leading up to, during, and after that event.
Well, Lawrence, you've heard me talk about how I had to view hundreds of hours of body cam footage. And I did that because I had to see what happened. I had to see how these cops failed, how the emergency services failed. I was told by one of these leaders in the Texas Capitol, they said, Roland, there's a reason we don't look at the videos. Complete nonsense. How can you say that about our job? You are abrogating your job when it comes down. You have to make decisions about fixing what's broken in Texas. And if you close your eyes to what's broken, like Ted Cruz and others have, you'll never truly be able to scratch at the surface as to what's wrong with our system in Texas. And there is a lot wrong. There's wrong in our electrical grid. There is wrong in our medical care systems. We're the worst in mental health care in the country. We're 45th in education spending and performance in the country. And we can afford to do so much better. People need to open their eyes as to what's happening and have a real discussion about what's affecting their day-to-day lives. And so we're going to continue to work for Texans like I always have, Lawrence. I'm the son of immigrants who taught me how to work hard, and they taught me how to serve our public, and we're going to continue to do that.